Hey everyone, welcome back to our journey through the Gospel of Matthew. Have you ever felt like you're probably not worthy of God's love? Or you felt like you're disqualified from his mercy and his blessings because you messed up so much? I have. I'm being honest, I really have. You know that God can help you. When you're in that state, you know God can help me. I don't doubt God. I don't doubt his ability. It's not that I don't think he's powerful enough. I'm just not sure that he's going to do it for me because I know how much I've fouled and I know how much I've messed up. In today's study, as we continue through our journey of Matthew, we've reached one of my favorite stories in showing the mercy of Jesus and how he deals with people. It's the story of when a leper, someone who's an outcast and unclean, no one dared to touch him, and he comes to Jesus in desperate faith. This is such a beautiful story because as we dive deep into the original text and the cultural significance of what was going on, you see that this has a wonderful reflection of the healing journey that we face ourselves through life as well. When we're coming from a shame-based identity into coming to the revelation that we are accepted and loved because of what Jesus did for us. So if you've ever felt like you are not good enough, stay and listen to the end because you will be encouraged and you will be blessed. So let's read the English text that we are used to. This is Matthew 8, chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. And behold, a leper came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus put out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be clean. Immediately his leprosy was cleansed, and Jesus said to him, see that you tell no one, but go your way, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. So first, let's set the scene so that you can understand what's really going on in the culture of that day. Right, so leprosy in those days wasn't what we know as leprosy today. There's a specific disease today called Hansen's disease, which is incredibly contagious, and that's the one that we know as leprosy. In those days, the term leprosy was given in Leviticus, and it described any skin condition that was red, scaly, infected, inflamed, and it wasn't healing. So it was either going and coming back, or it just wasn't healing. So even if you had eczema and psoriasis, you would have been called a leper, and you would have been shunned, and you would have been put out of the community and had to live outside of the camp. As a side note, if you have eczema, then I have a separate eczema channel which you can look up, and I'll link it down below. But anyway, back to the study. Right, under Jewish law, leprosy had a very strong social stigma because people were scared of the lepers because they saw it as so contagious. And it was seen as a judgment because Miriam was struck with leprosy when she criticized Moses and was in rebellion, and she was struck with leprosy. So anybody really that got struck with leprosy, it was seen as a kind of spiritual death, a judgment for some kind of sin. And you can see that in Leviticus 13 to 14. People were so scared of leprosy that if anyone was deemed to be a leper, they were not only expelled, but if they had to come in for anything, if they had to go around where there was people anywhere, they had to actually call out in front of them, unclean, unclean, so that everybody knew and they could part the way. And it's such a shameful way to live, such a humiliating way to live. They couldn't be in close proximity to anyone, so they're deprived of human contact and deprived of fellowship and love and companionship. They weren't just sick, they weren't just struggling with the physical ailment of being sick, but they were struggling with isolation and rejection and being untouchable and being unwanted. So to the people of that culture, they weren't just sick, they were defiled, they were rejected. And then you have the whole contamination. Like I said, people were very, very scared of catching leprosy. And there's a similarity here with high control religions. If somebody leaves a high control religion or a cult and they leave, there's a spirit amongst the people there that see the person who was put out or the person who went out as contagious, like their doctrine or their belief system or their rebellion could be contagious, so you don't touch them, you don't talk to them, you don't make contact with them, and they're treated like a leper. So they have this whole isolation that comes with it as well. It's actually very similar, but it's fear-based. Just the same as the Israelites in those days were very, very fearful of being contaminated by leprosy because of its contagion. People in high control religions and cults they also look with a fear-based mentality at anybody who leaves their organization, because if I talk to them, I might be contaminated. I might be detrimentally affected in my own faith, and so you just don't go there. You don't talk to them. So when we look at this leper, then he's breaking the law, as I mentioned, by coming to Jesus. So this Greek word, of him coming, is a word which means, it's not just I walked over to Jesus. You could say he comes to Jesus. There he is, he's just walking along. That's not how it was. He's approaching in a particular humble, reverent way. And the Bible says he knelt before him, which it's not just coming and kneeling, it's actually fawning. The image of this word is like a dog who's coming to his master when he's done something wrong. You see the dogs, they come and they crouch right down and they come forward, but they're really nervous and they've gone so low because they're expecting to get whacked. You get a dog who's been abused and he's been hit a lot. When the master calls him, he loves his master, he wants to come, but he's not sure if he's going to get hit. So they go really low and they crawl along the floor. And that's the image, that's the same word that this is describing of this man. So he's coming to Jesus, he's got faith, he knows that Jesus can heal him, and he's clinging on to hope. This is my hope. This is a way out for me. If this works, I could be delivered. I could be set free. But he's so scared of the rejection. He's so scared that Jesus will say to him, "Ew, you sinner, you disgusting man, get away from me." And everybody would start throwing stones at him because he's this contagious, scary person that might infect them all. That's how he's approaching, just like this dog that's crawling along the floor expecting to be hit. So it's not a reckless rebellion that he's coming to Jesus. It's not like, oh, I'm just disobeying the law, I'm just coming. This is desperation, that despite his fear, despite what he's expecting, the rejection that he's expecting, he is still so desperate, he's willing to come and hoping for mercy. And it's actually really sad when you look at it that way. It's actually really sad what this man is going through. He's the perfect image of somebody living in a shame-based identity, somebody who has been abused, somebody who has been rejected, somebody who's been abandoned, somebody who's gone through sexual abuse. They carry so much shame inside of them. They are often afraid to approach other people. They live within this bubble of expecting rejection, expecting abandonment, expecting people to let them down, and feeling constantly that they're not good enough. Just like this man, he feels he's not good enough to approach Jesus. He's coming, but he doesn't feel good enough. And that's what people from trauma backgrounds can feel like when they come to church. I'm coming to church because I know I need God's help, but I don't feel as good as anybody else. I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I'm really accepted. And that's a shame-based identity. And it's one that has been very, very lacking in human connection and unconditional love. And you look at what he says to Jesus. He says, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." He didn't say, "Lord, if you're able." He said, "Lord, if you're willing." He didn't question Jesus' ability. He knows he's got the ability. But he uses this word dynasty, which means you have the power. He's actually stating that you have the power to make me well. You have the ability. But he's unsure of if you will choose to make me well, if you desire to make me well. And he says it in what's written as the present subjunctive, which means there's an uncertainty. So he's very uncertain whether Jesus is actually going to choose to make him well. And that's why it's been translated in the English, "if you are willing." But he knows Jesus can do it. He's just not sure if he'll do it for him. He's seen him do it for everybody else, but it's like, I'm not sure if he'll do it for me. And we can be like that when we have a shame-based identity. We have prayer needs, we have things that we desperately want from God, but we're not sure if he'll do it for us. And a good way to tell if someone's living under that is that when there's something that needs a breakthrough and a miracle, you go around asking everybody else to pray for you. It's not just like one or two people, a few people on a prayer partner list, but I'm talking like literally everybody. Please pray for me, please pray for me. And it's not coming from faith, it's coming from fear. I don't feel good enough for God to answer my prayers, but if I get all these other people to pray, well, he might answer them because they're better than me. They live for God, they do well. No, everybody's a sinner, everybody's got faults, you just don't see into their personal life. It's not about that. This is just a way of identifying within yourself. If you have a shame-based identity, that's what you'll be doing. You'll be getting everybody else to pray because you're hoping that God will hear them more than he'll hear you. And I'm not saying that to condemn anyone, just to highlight there's an area here of inner healing that you might need to work on. So this leper, he doesn't lack faith. Right? I want to point that out. He doesn't lack faith, because if he did, he wouldn't have come in the first place. But he does come. But what he is lacking is an element of self-worth. He's lacking human connection. He's lacking the ability to feel loved. He's had so much rejection and isolation, and because of that prevailing view of leprosy that's there at the time as being a judgment for sin, and so that is why he's not questioning Jesus' ability, but his willingness. And what he asks Jesus when he says, if you are willing, you can cleanse me, this is a one-time done. The word means one-time done, healed, finished, and it's a word that means cleansed from all moral and physical filth. It's a complete and utter healing, internal and out and external. Jesus' response changes everything for this man. This is what I love about the story, the mercy of Jesus. Remember I said leprosy was considered so contagious that nobody could go near a leper, nobody could touch a leper. They were classed as so unclean that if you touch them, you would be infected, and then you would be put out of the camp as well. So Jesus here, he stretches out his hand and he touches the man before he's healed him. This is unheard of. Jesus recognized the power within him, God's power, God's authority, was far greater than any other power. To Jesus, holiness is more contagious than sin or sickness. This is how Jesus was able to do that. It was more contagious than defilement. And so many people miss this. So many Christians miss this. Dominion comes from realizing that the holiness of God inside of you is more contagious than the defilement of the world. That's why you can go into the trenches and work with the people who have been cast off and outcast and rejected and kicked out of churches. You can do that because when you are in right standing with God and you are living in power and dominion, the holiness that's inside of you is greater than any defilement that is in the world. So I used to, and I still do, when it's carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lot of things that go on and behaviors that go on. And what I notice is most of the Christians go into hiding for that weekend. And I've always, like, where is the dominion? Where is the dominion of Christians that we can be going out and using that opportunity to pray and go out and witness to people and actually share the gospel? Because a lot of people who are getting involved in things that they're going to regret the next day and behave in ways that they're going to regret the next day, they are looking for love. They already have a shame-based mentality, and they're going to do things that are going to make them feel more ashamed. But the Christians are hiding. They're not going out and trying to minister to the people because they're scared of defilement. They're scared of getting caught up in things and contaminated by the things that are going on. So we've got a situation where God's people are living in fear of catching defilement, the same way that the Pharisees and the religious people in those days were concerned about the contagion of leprosy, and so they're avoiding any interactions with these lepers that really need ministering to. And so we're avoiding as well. A lot of the time, a lot of Christians are avoiding interactions with people who are so broken they desperately need somebody to share the gospel with them. So this man, this leper, Jesus's touch, if you think about this, Jesus's touch was probably the first human touch of care that he's felt in a very long time. The comfort of physical affection, to know that you're accepted and not rejected. That meant the world to this man. Remember I said he came fawning like a dog, expecting to be shouted at and hurled abuse at and maybe even thrown stones at. And instead of that, he's received not only, yes, you're allowed to come, but he's received the human touch of having Jesus' hand on him, of acceptance and affection, an affectionate physical human touch. That in itself would have been so healing for his soul, the acceptance that came from that. And when Jesus answers, he uses the same word that the man used, but he removes the subjunctive. He removes the uncertainty. So he says, I am willing, be completely healed. be completely cleansed. And that's a passive imperative. It was a command, one time, done, finished. And imperative is something that's done to you, not something that you did to yourself. So it's like Jesus did this for him. And the scripture records he was healed immediately. And the Greek word immediately means immediately. So it was immediately. In one moment of time, Jesus has just healed his body and restored him to community. His life is never going to be the same again. He is now capable of coming back into the camp. He's now capable of coming back into fellowship with his family, with companionship. This is such a wonderful, merciful miracle of receiving this man back to life. And then Jesus tells him to go and show himself to the priests. He says, like, don't answer anybody anything. That's what that translation is. Don't answer anybody anything, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that was required, which is in Leviticus 14. And why is he offering the gift? As a testimony to them, the Bible says, but to is a proposition. It could quite easily mean as a testimony against them. So it means exactly the same probability of using that word. It could be as a testimony to them, which we think, okay, I'm testifying that God's healed me. But equally, it could be as a testimony against them. Healing doesn't just come here by you. That man out there, Jesus, he's healing people outside of the four walls of the church. He's going out into the trenches and finding the outcasts and the lost, and he's healing them without you and without your religion. So it could easily be a testimony against them, a rebuke, because healing, God is now doing outside of their religious structure that they're trying to maintain. So this story isn't just simply Jesus healed a leper with a skin disease. This is recognizing and healing toxic shame. This man had very toxic shame that was controlling his life. Shame says, I am unworthy. I am not good enough. I can't approach. I will never be accepted. But Jesus says, I am willing, be healed, be cleansed. And he completely transformed this man's life. Jesus changed his identity from outcast to accepted. And that's what changes lives. That's what changes lives. Toxic shame keeps us stuck. So many of us who have come from abusive situations, ultra controlling situations, child trauma, we have toxic shame, and it keeps us stuck. It makes us feel like we're not good enough to approach, especially feeling that we're not good enough to approach God, because we see ourselves that we've got this brokenness on the inside, and we look at everybody else putting their best foot forward like everybody does in church, and we feel like we don't measure up compared to them. So we can be trying so hard to be good enough to be accepted by God. But when you're in a performance-based mentality, that will never work. You will never ever feel good enough. But you can't be. That's the whole point of the law. You never can be good enough. We're accepted by grace. We're accepted by mercy, just like this leper was when he came to Jesus. So toxic shame tries to keep us isolated. It tries to keep us away from fellowship. It keeps us in the same dysfunctional dynamics that we keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. But you can heal and you can break these patterns. And that's all I have for you in this study today. And if you are dealing with toxic shame, if this is something that you've recognized within yourself, click the link below and find out more about my group program where I help people and we walk through this together live on Zoom. You can sign up for the wait list if there's not one available coming soon. But don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video with everybody you know who likes real deep Bible studies, how they apply to life, and people you know who have had traumatic upbringings. They love God, but maybe they find it triggering, or they struggle to be in a church setting. So share this channel with them as well so that they can still learn about God in a safe environment. God bless you. I will see you in the next study.